Hey veterans. VA claims can be really complicated. There's thousands of pages of regulations and rules for how they're determined. There's a lot of headaches in the process. But there are a number of concrete steps that you can take to make it both quicker and easier to get the right answer on your claim. So I want to walk you through 10 tips on how you can make your claim prepared for success. First, you want to make sure you understand that when VA rates your claim, they're not looking at you as an entire human being. What they're looking at is each individual issue on your claim. You know, when you fill out that initial 526 form, it has a number of items, and you list, what are you filing your claim for? And a lot of times people will be pretty vague about what it is that they're claiming. And what that does is it ends up dragging out the process. And then VA has to come back. They have to ask you clarifying questions. So it's important for you to understand that when you file your claim, you want to be very clear about what it is. And what I'm talking about is, I'll just give you an example. Let's say you were in an accident while jumping out of an airplane and you broke both of your ankles. Now, 10 years later, you have traumatic arthritis in both of your ankles. That's not one claim, it's two separate claims. One for the left ankle, one for the right ankle. And when you file it, if you file it that way, you include your supporting data for each one. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Second tip is you want to get a copy of your C file. If you've ever filed a VA claim, then VA has on file now electronically what they used to call the C file, and it has every document that the VBA uses to process your claim. You can get a copy by filing VA form 10206. I'm going to include a link in my blog post, and it's very important to know what's in your C file and what isn't in your C file. If there's key evidence that can prove your claim, you want to make sure it's in there. And conversely, sometimes I see cases, especially with some of the older claims with guys that served in the Gulf War, or Vietnam, or in the Cold War. I see claims where the records were initially lost by VA. They were stuck in the back of a file cabinet somewhere, and then 10 years later they got scanned into the system. And so it's important for you to check and find out what's in there, because it's possible that the evidence you need to prove your claim is actually in the file, but VA just missed it. Okay. You want to understand the difference between VBA, that's the Veterans Benefits Administration, and VHA, that's the Veterans Health Administration. Okay. VBA is the entity that decides your claim. They're the ones who schedule the appointments, they look at the evidence, and then they evaluate and give you a rating decision that tells you whether or not a particular issue is service-connected. VHA is totally separate from that. They don't have any decision-making power with relates to your claim, and they're generally not interested in your claim. What they're interested in, what they do, is they operate hospitals and clinics, and they provide medical care. And so sometimes I'll see people get upset or distressed because they want to talk to their primary care doctor about their claim, or they want to talk to a specialist about their claim. And those doctors, first of all, don't have any training on the claims process, and they're not connected to it. And so it can make for a real disconnect. And so that's an important thing to remember. You want to make sure you understand what are the three things that every VA claim must prove. It's a current condition, an event in service, and a nexus between them. If you check out my video and blog post on the basics of VA service connection, it goes into those in considerably more detail. Okay, for each issue, have a plan. What I do for all of my clients is I keep a spreadsheet that breaks down every single health condition they have, whether it's service-connected or not, whether they're filing a claim for it or not. Okay, we look at all of those. When did it start? What was the event? Is there a possible connection to either service or to another service-connected condition? I keep track of the effective dates and all of those things in a spreadsheet so that I understand exactly what's going on with that claim. And I recommend you do that. It will help you understand both the process and where you are, because sometimes you'll end up with a situation where 3 claims have been decided, 3 are pending, 1's on appeal, and they're all happening at the same time, and it can get very confusing very quickly if you're not keeping track. So for each of those conditions, you want to have a clear understanding of what the condition is and how it affects your daily life. And it's important to communicate with VA what it's like during flare-ups and during the worst times. And now here's where VHA, the Health Administration, affects your claim. When you have a flare-up, when you're having a problem, go to the doctor. Communicate via secure messaging on My Health Vet. Make sure that you're communicating what's going on clearly and that your doctors understand it. And part of the reason for that is that you'll get better health care that way. The other reason for it is that when VBA is looking at your claim, they're looking for medical evidence of what the issue is. And so that medical evidence gets developed by going to the doctor. Okay. For each condition, I recommend you find out what the VA Diagnostic Code is. You can look that up just by Googling VA Diagnostic Code condition name. IBS, for example, is a good one. If you Google that, it'll come up with Diagnostic Code 7319. And then when you look for the rating criteria, you look for VA Schedule of Ratings, Diagnostic Code. And that'll give you an idea of, based on your symptoms and your condition, what you should be rated at. Why is this important? Well, when you get a decision back, oftentimes the rater doesn't dig through all your records, okay? They just look at what the CMP examiner said. And if the CMP examiner checks the boxes for what will result in 10%, but your actual symptoms in your records reflect they should be higher, then you want to know that. You want to know why it was underrated, and you want to be able to appeal it. Okay. You want to consider all of your health issues, okay? Not just the ones that have an obvious link to service. All right, I'm going to give you a very common example, erectile dysfunction. You might not think that that would have any kind of a direct connection to military service, but in fact, if you suffer from service-connected PTSD or other mental health conditions or some other types of conditions, the medication for those can cause sexual side effects. So you're service-connected for PTSD, you're taking your meds, you're doing your best, and then you're having this problem. That problem that results from the meds should be service-connected, and that's what they call secondary service connection. It's not directly caused by military service, but it's caused by something else that is service-connected. Okay. The next item is you want to, along with your plan, you want to keep your claim organized. And what I recommend people do when you file a claim that has multiple issues on it, and let's say you've got 6 issues you're submitting for PTSD and for your right knee and for a traumatic brain injury and 2 other things. For each of those issues, write up a separate statement, a 1-pager that you can put on the VA lay statement form that describes what happened, how it's affected you through the year, so that you can make a clear case for continued issues, how it affects you now in terms of your ability to work and your overall social life, and then if you have the dates, include the dates of any doctor's appointments and where you went. And including that on that 1-page statement specifically for each issue gives your rater all the information they need to be able to go find the specific appointments you went to. They don't have to go searching through, a 20-page letter that describes all of the different things that are wrong with you. You make it clear and simple, and that makes it easier for the rater to do their job. And here's the thing. VA raters have tight schedules, tight quotas. They've got to go through a lot of claims very quickly. And so what tends to happen is the claims that are well organized, that are focused, that have, less information to read, they're more likely to get processed faster. Okay, and my last issue is less with initial claims than it is with appeals. And here's what I really urge you to do. Don't ever file an appeal unless you've got a specific strategy in mind. Okay, I see it all the time. People post in a Facebook group, hey, my claim got denied. What do I do next? And then there'll be a bunch of comments. They'll be like, well, get a nexus statement, get a buddy statement, file a higher level review, file a supplemental. all this advice that's coming in the absence of any information is nonsense. Okay, just doesn't make any sense, because the first thing you need to know when a claim gets denied or when you don't get rated the way you expected is you need to know why. You need to read the rating decision that comes in the mail, usually a week to 10 days after they decided the claim, because that's going to tell you exactly what you proved and what you need to prove in order to service connect it. Okay. Then, once you have that in mind, you can file your appeal with confidence that you're trying to attack the right thing. So, let me give you a simple example. You've got PTSD. You had a terrible event in service. Okay. Something awful happened, and you currently have this debilitating PTSD. And you go in and you go to the CMP exam, and they document everything, and then you get a rating decision that denies you. Okay, and the rating decision says that you have what they call favorable findings. It says, in your favorable findings, you have a diagnosis of PTSD. Okay, but then in the narrative, it says there's no event proved in service. Okay, you can file higher level reviews all day long, and it's just going to waste your time, and it's going to waste VA's time, because they don't have the information in front of them. Okay, if it shows that particular thing, it says there was no event in service, then your job is to prove the event in service, provide the documents, or point to where they are in the record. If you know VA's got them because you've got your C file, if you know VA has the record that the event took place, then you can file a higher level review saying your claim was denied in error, and the proof of the event in service is on page XYZ of your discharge documents or whatever. So that's it. Those are my 10 tips. I encourage you to try to be well informed about the process. And if you're having trouble, making sense of it, if you've been denied and you don't understand why, then I want you to feel free to reach out. I'm happy to take a look at claims. I'm taking new clients all the time. I do try to keep a fairly small caseload so I can stay focused on clearly focused on clients, because I don't want to get overloaded and then not be able to give a good response. But reach out for a case evaluation, and I'm happy to take a look. Information is on my website. Thank you, and have a great day. Good luck with your claim.